What's up everybody, here we are with a tier list review for Ranger Runner's Battleheart. This image was found in the game's Discord, link in the video description, in the game's strategy channel posted by Claire, who is part of the game's staff. I'm gonna look it over, give my thoughts based off my time playing as a free-to-play, almost at 1 month, to see what I agree with, what I disagree with. Wasting no more time, let's get it. Before I get started, if you're new to idle gachas, then let me just say, in the end, it really doesn't matter the heroes unless they are from the game's rare faction. So in this game's case, it's going to be God/Demon. So if you open up your roster, it's going to be these two faction icons down here. These will be your pay-to-win heroes, best of the best, who of course can be built up by free-to-plays, but at a much slower rate. Some are a little bit faster than others, depending on if they have shop availability. There are like maybe a few regular factions, so that's going to be like your human, orc, and elf heroes you can use throughout the game. So here is the tier list image. As a reminder, this is not mine. This was posted by one of the game's staff. It is broken down into your typical categories. You have SSS and SS being the top two. Right away, you will see Paimon, Freiza, or the recent released Wukong heroes are not in here. I think it's safe to say any exclusive hero will most likely be at the bare minimum SS tier, with majority being the SSS tier. I'll place these three heroes that aren't in this tier list at the end of this video. So let's get the bottom two tiers out of the way super fast. These are going to be your C and B tiers. You can easily just call these tiers food heroes, meaning they may serve a purpose super early on, meaning the first few days, but after that just toss them to the side and use them as food to upgrade better heroes. In this game, I'll say there's three different quality of heroes. So if I go to the main screen and then I click on dismiss, you're gonna see you have your blue, which I'll just call them common. You scroll a little bit down, where are they? All the way down here. Then you got your purple, I'm gonna call them epic, and then we go a little bit further and you have your orange, which is going to be your legendary. Blue/purple are gonna be pure food. However, this game has a system I'm not really a fan of, where when you're trying to upgrade your 5-star heroes, they require specific heroes as food, meaning don't just blindly combine a bunch of epic purple 4 stars into a 5-star, but plan ahead. So if we go over here and then we click on this faction, if I go down here, you're gonna see I have a bunch of purples 4 stars right here. So if I go all the way up to the top, say I want to upgrade this hero right here, which is Nalin. If you go over to the star up process, you're gonna see I need this 5-star hero right here. So say I want to go back and I want to upgrade this hero right here. You don't want to be using those 5-star hero copies right here, say Carl, as food for another hero, because then you're going to feed that requirement for that specific hero. Just be sure to plan ahead of what heroes you have copies of and what you're trying to build up. Okay, so you'll notice in these tiers you actually have a few mythical heroes who are simply just a step up above legendary, but they're going to be the same color. There's going to be Wisdom Buddha, Bloody Wolf, Sweet Healer, Flaming Fox, basically almost the entire orc faction. Then you have Elf Princess, Deadly Lullaby, and Hat Wanderer. Once again, basically the entire elf faction. So don't think, oh my god, this hero is mythical, I need to build them up. No, you actually don't. This game looks to be designed around a 6-team format. Eventually, you do unlock the 7th slot as an assist hero. That's way down the line. I think you have to be a very high account level for that. So worrying about building up multiple heroes to fill more teams is not really an issue in this game. So to keep the video short, this is fine. These are food heroes. Moving into A tier, these will be your heroes you can use early game, meaning more than a couple days, and a few of these can go into mid game. I want to highlight our Scarlet Leader and Flashblade, since these were the ones I built up. Olsen, Scarlet Witch, will be your AoE clearing content DPS. The skill Advent Day deals AoE damage to all enemies at the start of the first action, meaning 0 rage, which is used to build up to use your ultimate, is needed. This is simply an AoE free damage first turn, usually enough to either one-shot the enemy team or do a significant portion of their HP in the early game if you build her stars up. I think out of all the heroes in this tier, she is the one who helped me the most early on, also very strong in PvP. And then we have like Ariel is your kill reset, so he's very helpful early since the enemies have less HP, but loses his main feature sooner than you think. If he cannot get that kill reset on his ultimate, then honestly you're better off just slotting in another hero. In terms of Cynthia and Dash, Cynthia seems more like a long-lasting hero compared to Arlisle, because even though she doesn't have a kill reset, Arlisle won't be utilizing that for long, so then his actual damage isn't great, while Cynthia's will be consistent. Has some solid single target damage and a self-heal that can be triggered once per battle. Dash, on the other hand, if I had to pick, would be my go-to out of everyone in this tier, because he has a nasty single target multi-hit ultimate that has a chance to inflict the burn debuff. Anytime you have a hero with a dot, they are always going to be a solid choice for boss DPS, so I am interested to see how he performs compared to say Tingle, Tingles, plus he looks awesome. I think his whole skill kit looks solid and has a passive where it increases damage from burning or burns based off Dash's attack power. Honestly, I could be wrong here since I don't have any experience with him, but I'm actually going to bump him up to the S tier. Leave a comment down below if you've built Dash up to say 9 or 10 stars and how is his performance. Now for the last top tiers, I'll just do a brief highlight of each hero that was put in the said tier since there's not very many. Moving into the S tier, so the more late mid / potential late game heroes, Glorion is okay. Honestly, I would move him even down to A tier because S tier to me means long-term usability, but everyone is going to eventually use him as fodder for the God faction. When you're building up those heroes, you need 6-star food, and in order to make that 6-star food, you need 2 dupes of a hero in said faction. So 10 out of 10 times, everyone is going to feed Glorion. He serves his purpose early on, gives some heals, has a resurrection. The problem is he doesn't even come close to the other heroes in the game who have heals / reses, such as Amp, Lafayette, Twins, or Paus. Mentioning Paus, I personally don't have any experience with, so I would most likely just use as God hero food as well. You just have to find your core team and just put blinders on and only focus that, so I don't need him, I don't want him, he's food, plain and simple. Paus in my opinion has weak debuffs like rest and speed compared to the other heroes in the game, and unfortunately as an AoE damage control type hero just doesn't excel in anything, so honestly I would like to even drop this hero down to A tier to go along with Glorion. Apollo, once again, I don't have much experience with and most likely would just use him as demon fodder because there is really only need for one tank in your lineup, and the only tank needed, at least in my opinion, is going to be Diane. I'll speak about her a little later on. Apollo does have taunt, which is definitely handy, forcing the enemy to attack him. However, that also means you're going to need investment so he doesn't just instantly die. Has self-revive, reducing attack power of all enemies at the start of the battle. Honestly, you probably go either Diane or Apollo. I wouldn't run 2 tanks, but my choice would be 100% to go for Diane. Moving into Tia, I think this hero has a specific use, and that is to apply a lot of debuffs, so she won't be your carry, but instead help amplify other heroes who excel based on either total debuffs on the target or specific ones like Plague or Bleed. Great pairing with Biera or Freiza. The rest of her kit also has some solid factors like Chaos debuff, unable to use rage skills, and a chance to inspire buff allies with attack on hit. Definitely a well-rounded hero. Personally, with all these copies right here, I'm going to be using her for demon food upgrades. Moving into Lillian, once again, don't have much experience with, but as I've said, you find your core team, you stick to your core team based off summon luck, and I just don't have room for her on my team. But having said that, she does apply bleed and plague debuff, plus with her passive enhances those, meaning would pair nicely with Paimon. However, Paimon is busted on her own, so not really needed, and plague with Freiza, although I would still prefer using Tia in this situation. I haven't seen many players even using Lillian, so I'm not sure about the DPS potential, but to me this hero is going to be for more demon food upgrades. And finally we have Tingles, a regular faction hero. I definitely think she is deserving of this tier spot, but having said that, her main use is for boss DPS, so it's kind of a hero you're going to want to build up on the side, keep on the bench, dust off when ready to go for those high damage numbers on boss gameplay. I have her at 10 stars, I wouldn't take her beyond 10 stars, and once you unlock a hero to 10 you can do Awakening. I put 1 dupe here, but I don't want to use my books since I don't consider her one of my core heroes. Tingles has strong single target damage with follow-up attacks, increasing as you star her up, so as your team hits, 50% base chance for Tingles to cast throughout, which is 100% damage to target. She also ignores 10% of def, which is really why she's a big damage bump for bosses. Her passive is quite nice where she can stack up attack and crit rate and a chance for applying the poison DOT. Moving into SS tier, this is what I would consider late game heroes. So first up we have Rhoda. She is a DPS hero with a nice armor break and team shield off her ultimate. I think one of the reasons why she probably can output good damage is her combo skill Absolute Justice. Just like Tingles for example, the chance to trigger an additional combo or follow-up attack is always going to be beneficial. Her passive, Holy Inspiration, is best utilized off a God faction lineup, or at least majority, because you'll see when Rhoda is present you can see the attack power / damage increases of all heroes, but for each additional Holy Light faction, aka God faction, these stats are further increased. Is it a huge amount at 2% base? No, but if you run say 3, that's an easy 6% additional increase. Now we have Amp, another solid addition to the God faction, and is an interesting support hero because he links himself to the lowest HP and highest attack heroes on your team. The link helps spread out the damage done to the targets, gives damage reduction, increasing healing received. Then moving over, he has another skill where the 2 highest attacks on the team will gain an attack power / critical rate buff after using his ultimate, and then we go into his passive. When he dies, heals all allies and gives the team the Holy Light buff, which is the attack / crit rate buff. buff. So unfortunately, he doesn't have a revive, and I really need that. So that's why he isn't good as a standalone support. Now we have Lyra. So right off the rip here, I will say I'll bump her down to probably A tier. Not exactly sure why she's rated so high in this tier list, especially considering Rhoda, Amp, and Lafayette are in this tier. Just doesn't make sense to me. Lyra is just like a weird mage class doing AoE damage and has a skill called pre-battle tune where it's RNG based on what buff status she gets. As you start her up, the number of buffs she receives before each personal turn is increased, but I just don't like the RNG factor. It has way too many possibilities. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 7. Especially in PvP content, you're not going to be getting a lot of these, so trying to get the stacks up to like 5 or 6, it just doesn't, I just don't see it happening. Battles won't last that long, especially when it's before her personal turn. Her passive can be helpful because it copies a random buff state on herself to an ally with the highest attack, which can eventually increase in count, but like, that's a lot of investment. To me, she is just not worth the hassle, and I've been using her as God Faction upgrade food because there's better options for DPS, and I'd rather just use supports for the buffs. Now we have Lafayette, definitely one of my favorite heroes in the game, and honestly, I'm gonna actually bump him up to the SSS tier. I think every player needs to have him in your team because he has great team heals, has a revive, gives some of your heroes an attack power buff, potential chance to dispel a debuff off your hero with his auto attacks, apply more damage buffs, damage reduction, and when he dies, he heals your team just like Amp. However, the game changer right here is he will attach a revive as well to surviving heroes. So like, this is just wild to me because he can easily turn the battle in your favor. Maybe you lost 3 or 4 heroes, he's the next to go, then boom, all those heroes are now back to life. And finally, the last tier, we have the SSS tier. I'll consider these late game heroes as well, but the high priority ones. So first up, we have Twins. I missed the first summon event for the introduction of this hero, but went all in on the rerun. I had some insane luck and finished my summons like 3 to 4 days before the event was even going to end with my 10-star Twins. I love this hero. Now, although they are a mage class, I play them as a support class because their damage is okay, heals are okay, but it's the utility they bring that makes me agree with this SSS tier spot. I did go over their skill kit in a previous video where I was discussing limited time heroes. Thumbnail here, so if you are interested, check that out. The main reason for me having them as a staple in my lineup is Divinity's skill, which revives all deceased allies when twins take fatal damage. Especially if you have an invested one such as 10-star, they can last longer in the fight, meaning the chance of having more of your heroes dead as they take that fatal blow so you can revive more heroes are quite high. Easily change the battle in your favor, just like Lafayette. Now we have Diane. When I first played this game, I saw her, I saw Wonder Woman, and I was like, I gotta have her. So she's definitely the best tank in the game, specifically allowing your DPS carry with this skill to stay alive as she absorbs the damage they receive. Also, for a tank, can output a big single target nuke hit with Absorption Curtain by releasing 100% of the absorbed damage. Also, with her ultimate, or you can just call it rage skill, can apply severe injury, which is nice because it makes the enemy unable to act or gain buffs. Now we have Biera. So for me, I haven't tested her, so I can't agree or disagree with this SSS tier ranking. So for now, I'm gonna leave her here. I do think she is probably the best overall non-exclusive, meaning like Paimon, Freiza, etc. heroes, DPS based off the skill kit. Why she's really good is because she has an instant execute on her ultimate Crimson Reap if the enemy falls below a certain HP percentage, plus as you start her up, for each number of debuffs, an additional true damage is inflicted. Great pairing with say Tia, Freiza, or even Paimon due to the 5 stack off the ultimate. Has good self-sustain because she heals every time a hero dies on the battlefield, plus gets a boost in damage. Also has a revival block chance on her passive, but I do feel like she's leaning more on the situational hero side. Now, as for the 3 heroes not added yet, we have Paimon, Freiza, and Wukong. For Paimon, I'll make another tier called God tier. Here is where Paimon resides, all by herself, broken hero, everyone needs her. I covered her kit in my previous video mentioned. Main thing is how much her damage ramps up as the fight continues. Even at low stars, she's gonna outperform everyone. Enough said, bonkers damage, bonkers skill kit, allows you to smash content or PvP battles you would normally lose to. For Freiza, once again, covered his skill kit in that video. I would place him SS tier. I really feel his AoE DPS is super helpful for content pushing, meaning tower or any game mode with a group of enemies / PvP. And for Wukong, from what I've tested, his output damage, especially on bosses, is top tier, dethroning Tingles, the regular faction hero. Definitely with investment, Wukong will be the boss killer due to his multi-hits, buffs / debuffs, true damage. I mean, he's just a very strong hero and definitely worthy of that SSS tier spot. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of this community tier list? Are there any heroes you would swap around? As always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one.